Hi, and welcome to the 10th week of the Alabama Weekly. During this week, we will discuss changes in social and education areas in the South. After the Civil War, during Reconstruction, the South was changing. Industrialization was leading to economic and social and educational changes, and this really impacted Alabama. This also led to differences in manufacturing. We were moving away from farming and moving toward industrialization. Some of the big cities that benefited from this were Birmingham, and they had some of the first steel casts were developed there. There were also many natural resources that Birmingham had access to, and this helped it to grow in population, and it became known as the Magic City. Steel production was very large in Birmingham, and this helped it grow. Also, education was booming in the South, and this was seen through normal schools, which were used to teach teachers, and everybody was becoming more educated. Most of the time, people before the Civil War were simply farmers, but now people were going to schools and even on to universities. Some of the schools that were in the South were the University of Alabama, and that's even here today. And then we had the Agricultural and Mechanical College of Alabama that is currently Auburn today. So, are you a War Eagle fan or a Roll Tide fan? With the normal schools, some of the first ones were the University of Montevallo, that was helped to be established by Julia Tutwiler, and that is still around today, and also the University of North Alabama in Florence. And this has gone through name changes, but it's still there today too. Tuskegee University is still around, and Booker T. Washington wanted to educate and train African Americans, and so this school began, and it is still around, and it's still one of the historic schools today. Some of the social changes that existed at this time were seen in the South through race relations. There was an important court case, Plesley versus Ferguson, that upheld the doctrine of separate but equal, saying that as long as you had equal facilities, there did not need to be integration. And that's crazy, but that's no longer, and that was overturned by the case of Brown versus Board of Education a few years later. And then there were many difficulties, and there were many different laws that prohibited blacks from participating in society. And even in the Constitutional Convention in 1901, Alabamians wanted to limit how African Americans could vote. And so they promoted disenfranchisement, which meant that they were deprived the privilege of voting. And this Constitution also required literacy tests, and that basically eliminated the votes from the poor whites and the blacks. So in 1900, 180,000 black men were eligible to vote, but after the Constitution was passed, the number was reduced to 8,000. And this also required public schools to be segregated. That meant there had to be equal facilities for different races. And this was all overturned later, but it was this way for several years.